All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, September 2nd. We have an 11-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when we go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those will be in the pinned comment. And yesterday's final plays, we'll take the 4-0 sweep. Let's go. 4-0. That rhymed. Didn't even mean to. We had the Padres first 5 money line as well as their run line. The Mets White Sox first 5 under 4.5, sweat free. And then Kyle Schwarber. Talk about a sweat. He had 1 hit in his first at-bat. They went to extra innings, either the 11th or 12th, and I think he had 5 total at-bats. Didn't get another hit. We'll take it. Pumping some damn crowd noise. A 4-0 sweep. Well, you guys don't realize that every time I fire off the money gun, yes, it's a great celebration, and yes, we're happy to do it because we swept. I have to walk around this damn place and clean up those dollar bills. So you know what? I guess it's a good problem to have. But let's keep the train moving here. We did not have a ride of the day because we were traveling this weekend. So let's get right back on the train there, guys. Drop your hashtag ride of the days in the comments. If you don't know what the ride of the day is, it is simple. All you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me your favorite play. I jump on board with one person's play and then give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, unfortunately, we got to talk about it and then pick a new one that day. So use that hashtag ride of the day. We never gave Mr. Smob his full shout out for going multiple days in a row. So shout out to Mr. Smob for his streak last week. But let's go ahead and jump into today's slate. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button as well. In fact, smash both of those buttons in honor of the 4-0 sweep last night. But let's jump into it. Game number 1, we have Milwaukee taking on St. Louis. Freddie Peralta listed to start today, going up against Andre Piante, who I still think of as a reliever, but the dude's just a starter at this point, right? He's been pitching really well, 2.2 ERA over his last 5, but so has Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta, his last 11 innings, so 2 starts, scoreless baseball. Now it's against St. Louis, that's important to note, in San Francisco. So not the 2 best of offenses, but what team did I just mention? St. Louis, and now he's going to be at home taking them on. This is a team that does not hit the fastball very well whatsoever. Last 30 days, 29th in the bigs here when it comes to batting runs above average against the fastball per 100 fastballs thrown. Freddie Peralta is going to throw like 60% fastball. He moves on to the slider and the changeup, which are pitches that St. Louis hits well, but if he's going to be humming that fastball in there and he's at home, I like Milwaukee's chances today. Unfortunately, they're a little bit juiced, you know, at minus 170. I think I've seen them in the minus 160, so we've gotten a better price since updating the graphic. But overall, this is probably a spot in which I'd consider Milwaukee on the first 5 run line, so minus 0.5, to get some consumable odds, because that minus 170, minus 165, whatever it's at now, seems like it's a little bit too much. I don't mind taking a peek at a full game under, but I almost want to consider taking a peek at the St. Louis Cardinals team total under. This offense has been, you know, scorched earth against the Yankees the last couple games, right? 6 runs scored, 14 runs scored, I believe, or 13. And now it's time to kind of come back down to earth. You travel to Milwaukee and going up against a fastball thrower in which you have struggled against this season, right? So I don't mind the spot. They've faced him 3 times this year. Twice Freddie Peralta has shot out this team. So I'd consider an under, but maybe a St. Louis team total under. But overall, I think my favorite play would be to look at Milwaukee first 5 run line here. St. Louis has been playing good baseball, but you can argue Milwaukee's been playing better baseball. The competition hasn't been as good, but still, they've won 7 of their last 10. So I like their chances with Peralta with the rock today. All right, next up, kind of a dud of a game in a sense, just because the odds, no matter how you want to splice it up, are kind of crazy. You have Corbin Burnes on the mound for Baltimore going up against the White Sox. Chris Flexen on the mound for them. The White Sox have lost, I think it's 9 straight. 8 or 9 straight here. And, you know, they've played Detroit, Texas, the Mets, like kind of teams that are decent, but not like they haven't gone through this gauntlet of teams, right? Baltimore, on the other hand, has had a kind of a gauntlet. Other than their last series against Colorado, they played Houston, then the Dodgers. They've split the last 10 games, 5-5. But now Corbin Burnes is on the mound. And though we kind of called a decent spot to fade him last game. Now, it wasn't his earned runs that he got, but through 5 innings, he let up 6 runs. So yes, there's defensive lapses and whatnot behind him, but still, we identified that spot. That was against the Dodgers. I don't think we're going to be thinking that this Chicago team gets to Corbin Burns today, right? So this is, again, a tough one to look at just because of the odds. I think maybe Baltimore in some sort of a money line parlay if you want to roll with that or something. I don't think I touch it because I don't even think that, nearly minus 400 odds are worth that type of a spot. You know what I mean? So I would lean towards Baltimore simply because there's no way that I want to touch the White Sox. And Baltimore's offense has been good enough that I don't want to look at it like we looked at the White Sox and Mets yesterday. We had the first 5 under, but we had Garrett Crochet on the mound. Like, how do we know that the Baltimore offense is going to go out there and tattoo Chris Flexen, right? So I'm going to lean towards the over as well as Baltimore. But again, unfortunately, this is probably a game we don't touch simply because the odds are ludicrous. Speaking of ludicrous, we got a nice little free square over on Underdog, guys. Travis Kelce for game 1 of the NFL season. By the way, we have tons of NFL content coming out this week, kind of second half of the week. But Travis Kelce, 0.5 total yards is over on Underdog. Check out the link in the pinned comment. You're going to get this free square as well as other offerings that they're doing throughout the week. They have like something planned for the next 10 days, Underdog does. Whether it's a no sweat bet or multiple free picks, that type of thing. Super, super good time to get involved over there. You're also going to get an up to $1,000 deposit bonus over on Underdog by using that link in the pinned comment. You can also just use code GUYBOSTON if you download Underdog independently as well. But go ahead and check it out. It's turning into damn near my favorite player prop app out there. You combined 2 or more player props into a slip. The more you get correct there based on their higher or lower projections, the more you get paid out. And I love the fact that we're dropping free squares like this. You can throw this into your slip. It's going to hit. And then obviously you just get a nice little boosted payout. So go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, that link to Underdog is in the pinned comment. We're going to be doing tons and tons of Underdog slips on the channel and on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot throughout the NFL season. So join the fun. Check that link out in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games now. All right, Kansas City taking on Cleveland here in this spot. We have Michael Wacha on the mound going up against Gavin Williams, at least those are the projected starters. In terms of what we saw from the last series, Cleveland ends up winning 2 of their last 3. Kansas City has lost 5 straight games, getting swept by Houston in their last game. But Houston may be kind of coming around the mound when they come or something. Maybe they're starting to turn it on late in the year. I don't know if I necessarily want to put too much weight into it. This is also a Kansas City team on the road. They are a much different home team. They've won nearly 60% of their home games this season, so give them a little bit of slack there. Overall, I do see this as a pick'em, just like it's listed and illustrated with the minus 110 odds. Like, I could see an angle being made for either team here. The one thing that I'm going to kind of put weight into is the fact that I believe that Kansas City's offense is still the better offense, even though they didn't show it in that Houston series, right? But Cleveland has been kind of erratic. They go from scoring 10 runs to 0 runs. They had 1 run last time they played Kansas City, or second to last time they played them. And Kansas City had their number, and that was in Cleveland. So you put Kansas City at home against a team that they've already kind of played well against. I don't really mind this spot. Now, Michael Wacha is going to be the question mark here. He played against Cleveland not so long ago, right? I think it was like 4 or 5 days ago. 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. But again, 5 earned runs came in, so they kind of got to him eventually there. I believe he started the game fairly well. They scored like 1 run in the first inning, and then it was, I almost want to say he pitched just too long, right? They left him in there for too long, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, I do think that this is, again, kind of a tough spot to look at either side, or a tough spot to look at either side, but a good spot to look at either side. You could pick and choose in this one. I'm going to go with the better offense. It's Kansas City. I think you're getting good odds for them at home, but I don't want to like stamp that and put it in cement. Like, I can see why someone would get to Cleveland today. Now, the total's sitting at 8. If this was 8.5, I'd go under. If it was 7.5, I'd go over. I could see this being like 5-4 or a 4-3 game. So again, not to just be on the fence for both picks in this one, but give me Kansas City as well as a slight lean towards the over. And the reason I'm doing that is, 1, I like the Kansas City bat still, and 2, I guess, if I like Kansas City to score runs, that's why they're going to win today. I'm not necessarily backing Wacha. It's more so back in the offense. I have to some degree like their offense in this spot, right? So I'll take Kansas City and the over. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if either of those make its way in there. If we don't like Wacha, there's always like a team total potential for Kansas City. That way we don't have to worry about them winning, or if they shut down or don't shut down the Guardians type of thing. All right, game number 4 on the slate is going to be Cincinnati taking on the Houston Astros here. Verlander on the mound for the Astros. He really hasn't been phenomenal. Obviously, he's up there and a veteran, but still hasn't really been phenomenal. We have Julian Aguirre on the mound here for Cincinnati. He's pitched 3 times, or at least started 3 times. He hasn't looked terrible, but then his last start, and it was against Oakland, he kind of gets hit up. 4 innings pitched, 10 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, nearly 20 pitches per inning. So don't know what to come out with there. What I will say is I think that this is a far better Houston team, and a Houston team that's playing good baseball. The problem is they're minus 155. Like, they're on the road after a big series. Like, does this scream spot for Houston? Not really, but I can't really deny that their offense may be, like I said earlier, coming around the mountain when they come, right? 10 runs, 6 runs, then they had 3. Okay, that was a little bit of a low. They still won that game. Then they go 5 runs and 7 runs. Like, they are hitting guys right now. 4th in average against righties over the last 30 days. 8th in WRC plus, 9th in on base, 9th in OPS, 12th in ISO, but 9th in slugging. The big thing that I will call out here is Aguirre is going to throw a bunch of sinkers. That's a pitch that Houston hits fairly well. They throw a lot of sliders. They hit that well too. The changeup, which is going to get about 23% of the time across the plate here, they hit 16th, runs above average per 100 changeups thrown. So that's kind of the down pitch. But overall, this is a spot in which I do think we can trust Verlander, trust this Houston offense. If you're looking for a reason to roll with Cincinnati here because you like the price tag or you like that they're at home, Justin Verlander, a big fastball pitcher, right? And what do I tell you guys all the time? If you're going to roll with Cincinnati, look at a pitcher that throws a bunch of fastballs. Verlander does just that. That being said, his career against the current guys on the roster, so not just Cincinnati in general, but the current guys that are playing, 59 plate appearances against, 263 average against, an expected WOBA of 298. Like, he's done fairly well, and this is a veteran pitcher, so it's not like if his fastball isn't working, he's just going to keep humming it and keep letting them tattoo it. No, he'll move on to his other pitches. So I'm going to trust Verlander and trust the bats here. Give me Houston, as well as a slight lean towards the over. Like, I'm not totally discrediting the fact that the Reds are at home, and when they're at home, they score some runs and that type of thing. So yeah, I'll lean towards the over, but I think Houston money line or Houston first 5 run line, something like that may be the move. I just don't know if I want to go first 5 or full game, because Houston's bullpen definitely is slightly better. It has an advantage here over Cincinnati, so probably a full game look. All right, Arizona taking on the Dodgers. This has been a decent series so far if you like runs. Game number 1, 10-9. Game number 2, 8-6. Game number 3, 14-3. So obviously some runs coming across the plate here. Today we have Eddie Rodriguez on the mound going up against Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty and he's been kind of wishy-washy. Now, he's been consistent, and he hasn't blown up. I don't want to say that, but he hasn't been totally dominant, I would say, so far with the Dodgers, right? Eduardo Rodriguez, the team is 5-0 and is 4-0 in his last 4 starts. He only has 4 starts in the season. He hasn't been pitching phenomenally, but he's getting some run support, like you read about. So, to me, this is a little questionable. I looked at the splits from the pitchers against this current roster, and we have tons of plate appearances as a sample size. We'll start with Rodriguez, 109 plate appearances against his current roster, 34% K rate, a 297 average against, 220 expected batting average against, a WOBA of 349, an expected WOBA of 294, and a expected slugging, at 400. Then Jack Flaherty, 132 in terms of plate appearances against, 27% K rate, average against of 256, expected batting average against of 250, an expected WOBA of 328. So I look at these numbers all to say they're not getting shelled. Like, neither one of these guys have struggled against these teams. Now, if you want to look at their offenses, they're killing it, right? Arizona is one of the best offenses, maybe the best against righties over the last 30 days, but kind of sniffing it under here. Yes, I'll hit that psycho alert alarm. I'm kind of sniffing it under. Like, a 5-4 game at maximum is something I see here. 2 decent pitchers on the mound. These guys have battled it out for 3 games. Maybe they have a little bit of a lull game, so it's crazy. Maybe we pay up and get an alternate line at 9.5 so that we can get that 5-4 game. But yeah, I'm going to lean towards the under. I'm going to trust both of these pitchers. The Dodgers bullpen is much better, so it makes me want to lean towards them on the money line. But again, like, Arizona's offense is so good, it doesn't really matter if they have a good starter against them or a good bullpen against them. There's definitely an angle to get to Arizona here. But I think my main play is the under. And like I said, I already sounded the psycho alert alarm. Like, this could be a 14-10 game, like we've pretty much damn seen in this series. series, but for whatever reason, I'm trusting these two pitchers on the mound. I told you why. Their numbers look okay, and after 3 games of high scoring, like, can't we get one low, right? So give me the under, and like I said, I do lean Dodgers slightly, but there's such an argument to be made for Arizona too. So if you're on Arizona today and you hear me say Dodgers, just know that I'm rooting for an under in a sense. I'm not necessarily trying to talk you off of Arizona whatsoever. All right, guys, honestly, only a few days left for most of us until the fantasy football drafts are at their end, right? So if you are still looking for your fantasy football draft to commence, make sure to check out the RotoWire Fantasy Football Draft Kit. Everything you need to win your league at the draft. And like I said it in my last video, do not use this if you're in my league. If you're one of my buddies watching this video, do not use this. But if you're not, and you're not in my league, I couldn't encourage you guys more. 7 days free of it, so you can go use the draft kit and everything like that. They don't take your credit card. It's a really cool thing that RotoWire does. That link is going to be in the pinned comment. Again, it's the fantasy football draft kit from RotoWire. Cheat sheets. They have draft rankings in terms of ADP. You can literally have it up and say, am I overstepping? Am I reaching for this guy, or do I have a sleeper? They have sleeper analysis. They have mock drafts, so you still have time to do that. And what I really like is the fact that they have things like strength of schedule or targets and percent of plays played last year. Like, that's really cool to me, because you know if you're getting a guy that's going to be on the field to produce. And then honestly, like I've already mentioned, ask the expert. The fact that they have an expert on the line waiting for your questions is superb, because those guys know a thing or two about winning some fantasy football leagues. And if you're like me, there's also a secondary goal of just not coming in last so we don't have to suffer the punishment at the hands of our league, right? And this is a way to do that. Like, that's more of a guarantee, I'd say, than even win the league, but we all want to win the league. So go check out RotoWire, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. Again, head over there, risk-free, and you can try the draft and win your damn fantasy football league at the draft. Go ahead and check it out. That link is in the pinned comment. All right, we got SD taking on Detroit here. We were all over San Diego yesterday, and they pull out a 4-3 win after losing 11-4 the day before. Today, we don't have Dylan Cease on. Even though Dylan Cease didn't look like tremendous, they did get to Pepe Le Pew Pepois, which kind of is the way that I'm taking this one today. Unfortunately, our odds are just absolute crap, so I don't think that we end up playing it, but I like the idea. By the way, you have Joe Musgrove on the mound going up against Ty Madden. I like the idea of the Padres offense continuing to, play well. Now, yes, they had a game yesterday in which I scored 4, but 13-4-4 scored against Tampa Bay. Like, those 4, they could have easily scored more. They were up 3-0 after a few, right? So I do think that this offense probably has the ability to get to Ty Madden today. That's going to be the direction I lean in. Something San Diego, maybe team total over. Not thrilled with it, because obviously the books kind of beat us to the value. Well, they set the value, but them obviously scoring a bunch of runs today, the books know it. You're not going to be able to get a 3.5. You're probably going to have to look at a 4.5. So some of the value is drained here, but keep an eye on the pinned comment, see if we can get creative with pulling the trigger on something like this. Ty Madden's going to throw fastball, slider, cutter, all pitches that I don't mind San Diego needing to go out there and hit. I've also seen, I believe, Kyler Montero listed as a potential starter here too. So if it is him, then FYI, it could be a different pitcher. Doesn't really change my take on the game, though. In terms of a total, I don't want to depend on the Tigers going off, even though I really don't want to rag on what they've done. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, but after that White Sox series, and I guess was it the Angels? Yeah, the Angels' first game or second game, it kind of dried up, and now teams just haven't been scoring against them. So I'd rather the San Diego team total over than relying on Detroit to go out there and score a bunch of runs. Joe Musgrove hasn't had the best of luck against Detroit, the current roster, but only 19 plate appearances against, right? So nothing that I want to put weight into. I'd rather the team total over for San Diego, but in all honesty, if you can only get the full game over, I don't mind that, because I'm really hoping that the San Diego bats continue, or at least kind of get back to what they were doing a couple weeks ago. But yeah, them scoring 13, 4-4, like, they're not cold. They do have to get a little bit back to form, though. Speaking of the devil, we just talked about the Rays here. Before we get into this game, guys, if you wouldn't mind commenting 19, you pretty much made it, and you will in a few minutes or a few seconds. You made it to the 19 mark in the video. We are back home, and I did want to say quickly, and I know some people get annoyed by my little rants or thankful rants, but I do always want to take time to thank you guys for watching and what it means to me, because I don't take any of this for granted. Like, literally, I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but I wake up every day, whether it's a weekend, holiday like today, that type of thing, excited to do my job, and I'm in this position to do the job because of you guys on the other end. I'm a dummy with a camera and a microphone. microphone, and it works for whatever reason. So I did want to say thank you for you guys rocking with me, whether I'm at home or traveling, that type of thing. And I feel like, doing the comment the number because you made it this far is a way for me to continue to recognize the usernames and whatnot that stick to the end, and I just kind of see the loyalty and feed off of it. Does that make sense? Maybe it sounds a little corny, but it is kind of the truth. So appreciate you guys, love you guys, and I don't take any of this for granted. I hope that comes through naturally, but I'll always take the time to kind of force it into conversation too. But comment 19 if you made it this far. Let's jump into this one. We got Zach Littell on the mound going up against Simeon Woods Richardson. Littell, last 5 starts here. Now, he hasn't pitched in a couple weeks, but last 5 starts, he looked pretty good. In fact, his last 4 starts, he only allowed 3 combined earned runs. Minnesota's Simeon Woods Richardson has been fairly consistent as well. We saw his worst start in a while against Atlanta. Now, I think it was at home in Minnesota. But overall, from an offensive perspective, I'm all over the Twins here. I think that this is another spot in which I want to fade Tampa Bay against righties. And Littell throws a ton of sliders. That just happens to be one of, if not the best pitch that Minnesota hit. So I'm not even really backing Simeon Woods Richardson here. I'm thinking that the Twins go out there and score a decent amount of runs, and I think we have decent odds on them today at minus 108. On some books of the underdog. Now, it's essentially a pick 'em, but overall, I like this spot. Now, the Twins do have, I guess, some guys that are injured in their lineup and whatnot, but plenty of guys that are still healthy, and I still think that they can go out there and do this. You have Littell, who's not very good against either side specifically, and the Twins have a lot of lefties, switch hitters, and just kind of a mixed bag of a lineup. So give me the Twins on the money line. I want them to go out there and score runs. Have they been doing that as of late? Kind of, like they were, and in the last 4 games, they didn't, so it's kind of tough to say. But Tampa Bay, I just still will continue to think that it's option number 1 is fade them against a righty, and Minnesota's offense is good. So give me Minnesota on the money line. In terms of the total, I want to lean towards the over, but again, I'm thinking the Rays, the way the path to getting Minnesota money line is that the Rays struggle against Woods Richardson. So I will slightly lean towards the over because I don't like the under. Okay, so it's kind of by default, but maybe a Twins team total over depending on what we can get that at. In fact, let's see if I can check that really, really quickly. Just so we know what we're looking at here, because it's not something we looked at earlier. Over 3.5 for a Twins team total is over 3.5. Yeah, minus 130 on DK. That may be the move there. That way we don't even have to worry about the Rays and their righty, and we can just focus on Littell making his first start in a while and throwing sliders to this Twins lineup. That might be the move. Keep an eye on the pin comment for that one, but Twins team total over as well as Twins on the money line, and then maybe a slight lean towards the over because talking how I want the Twins to score, right? All right, Oakland taking on Seattle. These odds are a little confusing to me, I guess. It's not like Seattle had to travel all the way to Oakland. They were already in LA. Oakland had to travel from Texas back to Oakland, and yet Seattle's sitting there at minus 135 on the money line with Logan Gilbert on the mound going up against Osvaldo Bido. So maybe it's because the Seattle offense hasn't looked tremendous in the last couple games, or I'm missing an injury or something in their lineup, right? But right now, I like Seattle on the money line a lot. This is another spot in which I'd also consider probably taking a peek at a nerfy. Like Osvaldo Bido, as much as the Oakland A's stink, he's been pretty consistent. He's going to give you 6 innings. His ERA over his last 5 starts here is at 1 flat, averaging 6 strikeouts per game. So maybe that's the reason why the odds aren't crazy with Logan Gilbert on the mound, because of the fact that they don't have a very good offense. They're going up against what's crazily enough a good pitcher. But give me Seattle on the money line. I'll also lean first 5 under 4.5. So a lot of plays that I really like in this game, which kind of is crazy to like a lot of plays in the Seattle-Oakland game. But yeah, give me the first 5 under, the potential lean of a nerfy, and then also Seattle on the money line. I don't mind the full game under either. You have 2 good bullpens here, but I kind of just want to trust the starters. But yeah, that's the way I'm going to lean. Seattle money line, first 5 under, and the nerfy in this spot. I think that we could see some good pitching, and Seattle, though their offense is so bad, I still think has enough to win this game with a stud on the mound like Logan Gilbert. I like Seattle. All right, Mets taking on the Red Sox, and this is a tough one. You have 2 teams that have the aura or the idea of good offenses, right, against righties, and that's the situation today, but neither one of these offenses has been all that great as of late, so kind of tough to sit here and like either team. The Mets at home this season have won 52% of their games. The Red Sox on the road have won 57%. Brian Bayo's on the mound. He's had his good starts and his bad starts this year. He's coming off a really good one. 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 0 earned runs against Toronto. Severino's coming off of a game in which he didn't look all that tremendous. He had 9 strikeouts, but 4 earned runs on 8 hits through 4 2/3. But it was against Arizona, and it was only a few days, 5 days ago, right? So it's like I'm kind of giving him a little bit of credit for that. The previous or prior 2 starts. I just made up a new word. The pronunciation or the sound of previous, but spelling of prior. The prior 2 starts before that Arizona one, Severino looked very, very good. So even from a pitch mix perspective, it's like neither one of these teams look like they could crush the opponent or the other. So I think in this spot, and this is not me being a biased Red Sox fan or anything, I think I'm just going to look at the plus money and lean in that direction. Plus 110 on the Red Sox on the money line. Do I love it? Absolutely not. The Mets have won 4 straight games. They took 2 of 3 against that Arizona team, but the sweep that they just kind of commenced was against the White Sox. So maybe this is like a good spot to fade them, and then they'll just get back on the horse in game number 2. Like I said, I'm on the fence here, but I'll take the plus money. I can't find a clear cut sort of edge here. So if you guys have anything, let me know in the comments, because I don't mean to talk anyone off of this. In fact, it's always that, right? I'm just giving you Ev's picks. Ev and my picks. I'm not always trying to convince people or anything like that, just telling you what I like. But I seem to be missing a little bit here. Now the total sitting at 7.5, and I'm assuming, I'm not assuming. I like the spot there because it's moved down from 8. So if this is a low-scoring game, then it's even more likely that, an underdog could win it, right? Like neither team's going to pull away from it. So I like an under here because it kind of correlates the idea of if this is just a one-run back-and-forth game, anything can happen, and we have the plus money side in terms of a lean. All that rambling being said, if I'm caught that much on the fence, I probably don't end up forcing it, though. You know what I mean? All right, the Cubs taking on the Pirates. Everybody and their grandmother's ex-boyfriend's ex-husband were on the Cubs yesterday, and they kind of come through. Now, they were They won, 14 to something, right? Single digits, like 1 or something. Overall, I don't know if I love their matchup as much here against the Pirates with Jared Jones on the mound, but we did just see this matchup like 5 days ago, and Jared Jones got knocked around. Now, the one sort of saving grace and buffer I'll give him is the fact that he just came off of the IL and then pitched against them, right? But on the mound here for the Cubs is Jameson Taillon, and he's been nothing but consistent, but for negative reasons. His most recent start was against the Pirates, in which, yes, he ended up winning that game, or they won the game, right? But they won that game 18-8. Like, he didn't pitch very well. 6 2/3, 4 earned runs. He let up a home run, only 3 strikeouts, 8 hits. Like, Jameson Taillon did not play very well. But right now, I don't think that you can fade this Cubs offense. I've been saying that. Minus 148. Like I said, it's not the same as yesterday. Somehow the stars aligned with good odds yesterday playing a bad team, and Mitchell Parker, who I do like to some degree, but everyone's grandmother and everyone else kind of liked the Cubs yesterday, and they came through. I like them to continue scoring runs. Now, if you're a contrarian, which I am plenty of the time, I don't think that it's wrong to take plus 120 for the Pirates and back a Jared Jones type of spot, but they've lost 5 of their last 6 games. Jared Jones got crushed by this Cubs team last time out. This Cubs team is crushing everybody. Be kind of silly to which wouldn't be worth it. Like, if you don't like the Cubs today, just stay off of it. Don't fade them. That's what I would say. But there's a chance that we pull trigger on the Cubs at minus 148, or looking at their team total over. Due to the fact that we have, obviously, some weather concerns too. But if you can get their total, I want to say I think the wind's just blowing directly in towards the batters. But if you can get their team total, 3.5, something like that, like, I'd say screw it. Let's try and go for it, because this team, I don't care about the wind. They've been scoring some damn runs. We know how Wrigley can get, so I understand that. But over 3.5 right now is minus 125 on FanDuel. For a team that's been like quadrupling that number, might be worth a little bit of a sprinkle. But overall, like I said, I get it if you don't want to get on the train now because the Cubs have been so good. The minute we all get on the train, like the minute I get on the train, we're probably going to jinx it, right? But could be a potential. I like the Cubs. I like their team total over. Not really touching that, that full game, both team over. All right, Texas taking on the Yankees here. I would have loved to see a Nate Eovaldi, Garrett Cole matchup, but we have Andrew Heaney going up against Garrett Cole today. And what I do love is that, so I'm a Red Sox fan, right? And I get that this Yankees team is good and they're in first. Like, I get all that, but Boy, do I love seeing social media of everyone just hating on the Yankees, losing these games. They've now dropped both of their last 2 series. They've lost 4 of their last 6, like 4 of the last 5, in fact. Love to see that as a Red Sox fan, right? But from a true perspective here, Garrett Cole should be able to go out there and pitch well against this Texas team. This Yankees team, like we kind of bet on Jazz Chisholm, right? I was kind of giving them one last chance. This Yankees team has struggled, but I do think that they have a little bit more in them. I'm going to lean Yankees in this spot. They are heavily juiced, so luckily I don't think I'm going to get to the window. And when I say luckily, that's the bias coming out. But Garrett Cole in a mad Yankees team, seems like a decent spot to back them. Am I crazy? At least their team total over, the full game over. I think there could be some runs in this one, not necessarily from the Texas side of things, though. I think Garrett Cole is the perfect man to kind of get them out of this rut. And their offense, Andrew Heaney on their side, a guy that just literally just throws fastballs. He'll throw in a slider. Yankees hit sliders well, and then he goes change up, like 15% of the time. That's the pitch that the Yankees would struggle with, but he's not going to throw it that much. It's a recipe for a decent day from the Yanks. So Yankees and the over, maybe their team total over as well, but just know, I've been loving the Yankees hate as of late. Didn't even mean to rhyme. But, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That survivor pool we still have open, so if you are looking for a survivor pool in the NFL, you pick one team each week. If they win, you advance. It's still open. $10 entry fee. You can enter up to 5 different times, so if you want to spend more, have a better chance of winning, you could spend more, but one entry is $10. We're trying to fill that bad boy up. I think we're just under halfway. So right now the pot is at like $1,200, winner take all. We want to get it up to nearly $3,000. So go ahead and check it out. That link is also in the pinned comment. But that's all I have for you guys today. I gave you guys my heartfelt, tear-jerking little thank you in the middle of the video, and I do thank you guys. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.